Hi everybody, we're going to do a reflection in a coordinate plane. So you start with a new document all the time. Hit new document. Do I want to save it? No. I'm going to add a graph. So I got a graph here. Now what I want to do is, after I have my graph, I want to change the graph. Oh, we don't want that. So we hit forward, go back to current. I want to hit menu. And then I want you to go to view. And I want you to go to show grid. And what this does is it gives us every single point that has integer coefficients. So it helps us out tremendously when we're trying to plot points on the graph. Otherwise, you're kind of flying blind. Now, what I want to do is create a segment. So you have to go menu. You look for points and lines. And if you don't see points and lines, you got to go into the geometry. So I'm going to go into this points and lines, go to a segment, and I'm just going to pick a segment. Like I'm going to pick a segment here and here. And I'm going to hit escape. Now I have my segment. I want to know the coordinates of my endpoints. So in order to do that, I have to hit menu, actions, and then coordinates and equations. So I can get the coordinates of my endpoint there, and the coordinates of my endpoint there. So I have -5, 2, -2, 4, and now I'm good to go. I hit escape because up in the top here it says there's your coordinates, that's what we have to do. But if I hit escape, now the calculator's ready to do something else. We just got to tell it what to do. We're going to tell it to do a reflection. So, click menu. A reflection is what we call a transformation. We're going to transform that segment. We're basically going to move it. And we have certain ways in geometry and other areas of math and how to move things. One of those is a reflection. So here's your reflection. And we're always going to reflect through a line of some sort. Basically, the line is going to act like a mirror. So here's our reflection. Now if we go up to the point here, here's something that I found out that isn't quite right. It says click the object, then the line of reflection. I have found that you don't want to do it like that. What you want to do is you want to click the line of reflection and then click the object that's going to go through it, that's going to be reflected through it. So I want to reflect the segment here through my y-axis. So I'm going to pick the y-axis, and now I'm going to pick my segment. And if you noticed, when I highlight the segment, a new segment appears. An image appears in the first quadrant. That's my brand new segment that's reflected through the y-axis. So I click on the segment, and there it is. So now what I want to do is I want to take a look at the coordinates of my reflection. So I'm going to hit view, action, coordinates and equations. There's my first one. There's my second one. Now, what I want to do is I want to take a look at what happens to this point when it's reflected through and we go over here. At first, it's -5, 2, and then it goes to 5, 2. Now, ask yourselves, why does it do that? Why does it do that when it goes through the y-axis? Also, take a look at the second point. We have -2, 4. It starts at -2, but then when it goes through y, it gets to +2. Ask yourself again, why does it do that? Now, you can press pause here and take a moment and think about, what if I reflect this first guy again through the x-axis? And what's going to happen to these coordinates? And that's the big key, is what's going to happen to those coordinates? So you can go ahead and press pause. I'll let you do that. Otherwise, I'm going to move forward. So, press pause. Okay. Now, since you've restarted it, or you skip press and pause, I want to get out of the coordinates, and I want to do another reflection. So I'm going to go to menu, transformations, reflections, and I'm going to pick the x-axis this time that I want to reflect through, and then I'm going to pick the segment again because you saw that image pop up here. And so now I have a new segment down in quadrant 3. I want my coordinates, so I go to action and I get my coordinates, which is action 7, kind of like the TV station. Here's my new coordinates. It's still -5, now it's -5, -2. The y value changed. The x value stayed the same, but the y value changed. Go down to here, there's my point, -2, -4. Let me escape out of that, move that up a little bit. So my x-coordinate stayed the same, but my y-coordinate changed. So ask yourselves, why did that happen? Now, here's the fun one. I want to reflect this through the origin. We can reflect it through a point. Or I want to reflect it through the line y equals x. So I want to graph that line, y equals x. And I'll hit enter, and I got this great red line now. And I want to put this segment, reflect it through that line. So I'm going to click menu. And while I'm doing this, think to yourself, what's going to happen? I go to transformations, and I go to reflections, and I hope this one's going to work. I am going to this is being all kind of messed up. Here, let me escape out of that. And, well, it's not letting me. But I'll tell you, the real way to do it is we can do a double reflection, which means I can reflect through the y-axis and then through the x-axis, and it'll be the exact same way. So, unfortunately, got some bugs to work out. I'll figure it out for you, don't worry. So I'm going to do a transformation, I'm going to do a reflection. I already reflected the segment through the y-axis to get through here, so I want to reflect this through the x-axis, and I'm going to get this point right here. It's a double reflection through the y and the x, or through the x and the y. And now what I want to do is I want to find my coordinates. So I have coordinates here, which are 2, -4, and coordinates here, which are 5, -2. So if we take a look, if we go through the y-axis only, the x value changed. If we go through the y, the x value changed from -5 to +5, -2 to +2. If we go through the x-axis, the y value changed from +2 to -2, from +4 to -4. So that had that change. If I went through both of them and did a double reflection, the 5 became a +5, and the 2 became a -2. So the x changed and the y changed. And that is exactly the same way as reflecting through this line. We can achieve the same thing by doing a double reflection. And the -2 that we started with became a +2. The +4 became a -4. So that's a really cool way to see how reflection through the axes really works.